Whoa. Here we are, Dani. How are you?
Well, hey, John. How's it going? Happy Monday.
Monday morning.
When was the last time? I don't even remember the last time we recorded on Monday, but if I can say so myself, Mondays are probably not the days to record because traditionally, as we start each episode, we talk about how late I was. Let's talk about how late you were today.
I knew that was coming.
Well,
you know what? You were late, but I was so late, I made you look early.
Well, I think your lateness definitely beat my like every time I was late by a 10
Oh my
factor.
gosh, I was late. I apologize.
It's okay. It's a Monday.
Apologize to you, producer. It is what it is. I made Dani look early today.
Really early.
That's quite a task. What was I, like 45 minutes late?
No, like 2 hours late.
Are you kidding me? Holy
2
shit.
hours. 45 minutes.
We've crossed
late.
over into happy hour then.
I know.
Wow.
We actually have. And it's Monday. So cheers to you.
So how was your St. Patrick's Day? Was it
that yesterday?
Filled with parking?
It was not filled with any parking, which was actually really nice.
So that means you did nothing?
I did nothing. I got home. I traveled all last week. I got home on Saturday and I didn't do any. I cleaned and did.
You didn't celebrate Saturday? Go down to the parade?
No.
Wow.
Mm-mm. I wasn't here Saturday. I got home late Saturday. So
Denver has one of the biggest St. Patty parades there is.
Did you go?
I did.
Where'd you park?
I parked.
Where'd you park
And
at?
I got a ticket.
What?
Hours later. Like, I could have been out of there. The only reason why I wasn't is because I was in this loft and it was street level. So it's really an office right next to where the parade starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I parked across the street in this lot, which won't be named.
Lot X.
Lot X. And of course, they're not using us.
So you got a ticket?
I got a ticket, but I honestly, if I was just a normal parade goer, I would have been out of there. So they only checked once.
What?
I would have parked for free.
Was it privately owned or did you get a ticket by the city?
No, I got a ticket privately owned.
Oh,
but that's just
interesting.
Yeah, I stayed hours after the parade though. There was a party there, so.
What, $80?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Okay. I think it was a little, yeah.
You gonna pay?
I'm not gonna disclose the amount. It might say who it is.
I'm just curious because I know that the amount of citation or violation amount is definit't.
It's a notice.
It's a notice.
Private property notice.
Notice.
Yeah. Yes. So it was kudos to them. I did get nailed. If I had gotten out of there when the parade had actually ended or even an hour after, I would have had free parking.
Are you going to pay? Are you going to pay it? Or are you going to?
Well, I think I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
See what happens. What do you think? Think I'll get a letter in the mail?
That's a great question. I don't know.
That's what I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, it's research, right?
Yeah. So what do we got going today, Dani?
You tell me. What do we got? What do we got today?
So of all the things we've been talking about season 2, which, season 2's been good so far. We've got a lot of cool guests that we've already interviewed. We talked with Kevin Uhlenacher, which what a timing of that episode coming out. Great. And he sat here and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Obviously he can't say anything, but he knew the whole time.
I know. But congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to Kevin. Holy.
Yeah.
He sat here the whole time. Here we thought he was just doing the pitch, and he's buying the whole parking today.
Now he is CEO of Parking
I think he's
Today.
Like the chief editor, whatever you call it. Like that's a media outlet, right?
Chief Executive Officer, CEO. I think that's what it's probably called. Yeah,
chief editor or something, right? Isn't that what it's called?
You know more. You know more than I do, but
let me see. What is John's Van Horn's title? Editor and publisher. So I would imagine he's going to stay on for a while, right? And maybe Kevin will become chief editor. What do you think? What is that?
You're asking me like I have like I'm the decision maker, but
Yeah. Anyway, I think there's, good luck to parking today. I mean, that's
huge. It's amazing.
Van Horn did a great job bringing it to where it's at, and
yeah, the timing of the episode was pretty impeccable. So
yeah, I think
congrats to
Kevin's
Kevin.
probably going to bring a lot of new ideas, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think he's going to do first?
Have you write an article?
No.
feature a John Conway article in Parking Today?
No. He'll probably.
What would you write about what would you write an article on?
What would I write an article?
If they gave you the freedom, what topic? I'm curious myself. I mean, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm just curious. What would John Conway write?
I would write an article about the importance of industry collaboration.
Okay.
With respect to the path that this innovation and all this technology is bringing us, seems to be more and more data driven, right? And so as the technology evolves, I think it's becoming problematic. I don't think government and politicians can keep up, with the technology and actually what's going on. So like city bureaucrats and people that are dealing with, the public and complaints. And I think with technology, it's creating opportunities, but it's also creating issues. So I think our industry needs to do a better job of collaboration. And
which you've said multiple times, and I couldn't agree more.
I think the industry's biggest threat, as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't call it a threat, but we need to somehow find a way to work and help and collaborate with government. So obviously government's important, and we help with, creating best practices for the technology and the uses of all this data. I know there's people doing it, as we talked about with the credit card data and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that called? It's a test. Come on, they're already cheering. You gotta...
I was actually reading this. I got it. It is called, actually, the Alliance for Parking Data Standards.
Oh, there you go. I think you cheated a little bit. But
no, I was actually reading... I was reading an article today.
Alliance for Parking Data Standards.
APDS.
That's right. Not to be confused with the dentist's office, but
no, I think that sounds like a very interesting article. I would read it.
I think they're obviously they're doing their part to, what are they doing again? They're creating language that allows APIs and different softwares and everything to talk to each other smoothly, right? Sharing data.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So I think we should create something like that. I don't know. There needs to be something that can help with legislation or potential legislation that might hurt the industry. So.
Agreed.
That's what I would write an article on.
Well, I think that's a very, very interesting topic, I'd read it. I need to know more about it.
Full disclosure, I think Mr. Bagden did it, right? You know who Mr. Bagden is?
No, I don't.
He goes way back. I think he wrote an article.
Oh, are you talking about
Craig Bagden?
Craig, yeah, I know who Craig is, yeah.
I think he did an article a while back in Parking Today about, the enforcement, compliance, and all that. If you were writing an article, what are you going to write about?
Oh, it's a great question.
What's going on at venues and stuff?
And
like you're doing all this traveling. Like, what kind of work are you doing?
Well, I mean, right now I'm doing a lot of work with our owned and operated.
You got some help recently, right?
We did. We just hired a new GM of operations who is incredible.
What's his name?
Matt Andrews. So he came over from ABM. I used to work with Shelly, who is his wife at Arrive. So we were part of the digital demand team. Yeah. And so, the parking world is small.
Okay, so
But
Matt Andrews came over. He's from Milwaukee, right?
Chicago area.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so we got some help, which is great. We added another person to the team, which we are now a team of 4 versus 3. So it gives us a little more bandwidth to do more travel.
Right.
Yeah.
And the travel is you're trying to get. What are you doing? Are you selling or you're operating?
No, so I've been providing a lot of support, not just to our owned and operated, but we have an entire arena alliance.
Ooh, that sounds.
A lot of venues who are part of our arena alliance. So
Did you guys hear that? Arena alliance.
We've been providing a ton of support to our owned and operated, and then a lot of the venues who are a part of the arena alliance. And so we had, I just got back from Palm Springs, from Aquasure. I mean, I got to miss a snowstorm, so that was kind of nice.
Ooh, heavy sno.
Yeah. You were here. You were here for it, right?
I was. Yeah. It's already. I mean, typical Denver.
Yeah.
It's already melting, right?
But really, we're looking. We implement a lot of tech solutions. We're about a year in, and so we're really going back and looking at all the operational efficiencies and seeing if there is anywhere that we can make changes that are going to obviously increase those operational efficiencies. And
so when you talk about operational efficiencies, is that like reducing cost and implementing innovation and
implementing innovation, reducing cost where we can, getting our guest into the venue as fast as possible. Really, working with different solutions to make sure that our guests have a seamless experience, a seamless parking experience, because we know that the guest experience all starts with, I've said it many times, but it starts with the parking journey. So getting our guest,
forget parking.
To essentially forget parking. We don't want anybody really remembering. We don't want anyone remembering the parking experience. If they do, it's usually a bad one, like you've said before yourself.
Right.
We're making sure, usually we also go through the flow of the experience. So sometimes we sit in the ingress line, whether we have handhelds implemented in lane, or if it's more of a free flow model, we test out all of the solutions and the technologies ourselves to make sure that it's not only, if the experience isn't a good experience for us, why would we want to burden our guest with that same experience? So
right.
we do, full assessments on all, with our clients, our owned and operated. And then we come back and we essentially go, run through our entire parking assessment and talk about, our recommendations and how we think that they can implement smaller changes to help with their operations.
You know where my worst parking experiences are? Like, it never fails.
Venues?
Like, it never fails. No.
Oh, where?
Hospitals.
Really?
Like, why can't hospitals get it right? Every hospital I go to, the parking experience is shitty.
Are you at hospitals often?
Well, I have been recently.
Oh,
because of not me, but my pops.
I was going to say, I didn't know.
Well, my pops broke his back.
I do think I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, in December, and then he's got some other stuff going on. So he's been in and out. And
is he doing better? Is he doing okay?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's
good
doing
to
better. But, oh, Jesus. I mean, I don't usually say anything about it much, but I had to, the recent experience I had at one of the hospitals here locally, I had to say something. And everyone in the hospital was talking about it, including the nurses. Like, that's how bad it was.
So what is, I don't frequent hospitals, but talk about that flow. What is it like?
Let me talk about this experience, because to me, it's consistent. Hospitals, you have it fucked up consistently. Oh, wait, sorry. Where's the button? Oh,
Oh, that one works too.
yeah. Sorry, folks, about my swearing.
It's Monday.
Again, so I got there. There's nowhere to park, of course. Driving around forever. Then they, in an effort to get lanes or extra spaces, they closed off like entryways and then parked cars where those entryways were. Kind of like so they would literally kill drive aisles. So you would drive into a dead end.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
the
So,
parking,
yeah.
like it wasn't even designed for that. So after driving around, I dropped my dad off. The valet was a complete disaster. You could tell there were all these cars. They didn't have enough staff. So I'm driving around, and by the time I parked in like the North 40.
Oof.
Yeah, I parked in the North 40, and it took, by the time I got to the hospital, I was so irritated. You know where the North 40, you know what that lot was labeled?
No, what was it labeled?
Employees.
Oh,
And guess how many cars were there?
way too many.
Not, no. It was about 4 cars there, Danny.
So you know all the
yeah. Do you think there
all
were
the
4
employees,
employees
yeah,
at the hospital that day?
that makes sense. All the employees are taking up.
Typical
Yeah.
hospital. I mean, it was outrageous. So by the time I got up there, then I'm dealing with, they decided that it's a great idea. So I'm looking in this waiting room. They've got all these, and this is a good hospital. They've decided that technology is just a great idea inside I'm looking at the average age of the people that were sitting down was probably 75, maybe. And they had iPads to check in so they went paperless. And it was just, they had one person that was just going around and helping everybody. So I grabbed it from my dad because he didn't know shit. He didn't know how to do it.
Right.
So it was an interesting moment, but parking set me off. And then the iPad, I was already set off. So the iPad just took me over the edge.
It just took you over the edge. Do
You killed the person. The 75 or 80-year-old had to walk from the North 40. So
they
you
don't
killed
even have
them.
shuttles?
You killed them before they
No
even got
shuttles?
Yeah, no shuttles. They killed them before you even got there. Then if they did get there, then they had to grab this iPad that they had no fucking clue about. So now you've got a person that's going around. They had like at one point 2 people helping all these people check in. Why the fuck do you gotta?
So I mean,
How stupid is that?
Not only does parking set non-industry people off, it also is a big pet peeve within people within the industry. I would say. But this is interesting because this is a problem that you see across
Hospitals,
but municipalities as well.
Denver Health. Oh my gosh.
Well, but
nightmare.
Municipalities as well, though, right? Where they don't enforce employee parking. Unfortunately, there's all your employees are taking up your prime parking that are essentially for your guest. So then it impacts the experience and the businesses.
I literally made a beeline once I got my dad checked in. I made a beeline for the front desk, and that is something I don't do. But I'm like, I have to complain about the parking. Like, the parking is horrible.
Yeah. So what did they
She's
end up
like, we know it's terrible. They're working on it. They're working on it. It's like, I felt like saying, who's working on it? Like, whoever's working on it right now needs to be fired.
This is not.
I mean, it's
not
ridiculous.
How it's supposed to go.
So anyway, I mean, it's just wow. And that's, like I said, that's not the only hospital that's a nightmare. And hospitals are always, I don't know if you've noticed this, but they're always doing construction. It's kind of like a university. Like they have all this money.
Always expanding somewhere.
Yeah, they have all this expansion money.
Yeah.
Always. I don't care what the economy looks like. Boy, they got the dollars, man.
But they're
expanding.
Not expanding parking usually.
Well, that's the problem. They're taking some of the parking away when they're expanding.
So did they let you make a formal complaint, or what was that? Did she just have to calm you? Did you say that you could help them?
I think she
at this point.
It wasn't formal, but I think they got the gist. And then they were talking about it once he went inside and the nurse came and he was having surgery and like they were prepping him. I had to mention it to them. I'm like, gosh, the parking here was fucking disaster. She's like, oh, everyone knows. So that was the common theme.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like it wasn't a surprise to anybody. Nobody said, oh, really? What happened? It was, oh my God. Yes, we know the parking is so bad.
Yeah.
So obviously if they're talking about it like that, like, wow, what are they doing?
Well, did you offer your help? Did you say, hey, by the way?
No, I want nothing. I want nothing to do with that shit. They need an operator in there, right?
Don't they have one?
Well, they have this hospital just has a valet. That's it. They need like
I thought they had.
They need a comprehensive. That's the problem. Somebody's piecemealed. So they need an operator, like an operator, to go in and not just do valet, but to provide them consulting and,
Yeah.
So if anybody out there listening,
I thought that they had. I thought that they had an operator, but I guess
anybody need a lead out there? Give me a call. It's a couple hospitals.
John's got the in.
Yeah, there's a couple hospitals that need your help desperately. Listen, I can hear all. Oh my gosh, they're talking about it.
It is needed.
That's all the people that were in the waiting room. Don't worry, we're coming to the rescue. So yeah, that's been my experience. Hospitals are the worst for parking. I don't know why. Not always. They're not all bad. I'm not trashing everybody, but
got you fired up though.
It did.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much these days.
No, I think a bad parking experience can get anybody fired up, including people who are in the industry, which I'm a very patient person. And even the little mishap with parking can get me fired up as well.
So 45 minutes, maybe in late.
You were 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
2 hours.
You were pretty
Let's call
patient.
it 2 hours. Yeah, I was patient.
So what sets you off?
Generally a bad parking experience.
So just parking sets you off, nothing else?
Oh no. I mean,
gotta have some pet peeves.
I do. I have a lot of pet peeves, but I mean, parking is definitely one of them where, we live in Denver. So it's not like parking it's not like you don't usually come by easily, especially in little side neighborhoods or municipalities that don't enforce parking at all.
Right.
Which it honestly does keep me from going into certain neighborhoods or the outskirts of Denver. And especially Denver proper, downtown.
So what about Highlands? Do you worry about parking up there? Because I do every time.
Oh, absolutely.
My wife always wants to go down to dinner. They've got great restaurants, but there's no parking.
Well, this is the thing is that I don't even look for free parking. I'm the person that will always look for paid parking, specifically because I know what a nightmare free parking is going to be. I always look for paid parking wherever I'm at. If I see a paid parking lot, I usually plan I told you, I'm pretty in Denver. I'm usually pretty loyal to specific lots and areas that I know that I'm going to. But where I live, it's all free parking. It's all in the neighborhoods. There's not one lot that is paid.
That's what I'm saying.
And so it keeps me from going.
Yeah, when I go up there, I just want any kind of parking. I don't care if it's paid or free
So yeah, this is I'm all about the convenience. If I know, if I'm not going at 5:30 a.m. down to my little neighborhood streets, where I know that there's going to be parking, I just don't go. I'm it keeps me from going to the restaurants or even
right.
Getting takeout. And I can't even imagine, it's probably a nightmare for all the people who live just in this on the side streets of this little neighborhood where people are parking in front of their houses, in front of their driveways 7 days a week. And it just keeps getting worse because there's no enforcement around any of the parking
right. there. We're not, there's a lot of, everyone talks about LPR, license plate recognition. Mm-hmm. I cringe when I hear that.
Why?
I don't know. It's just, it's a new old term, right? I mean,
So I guess this is...
It kind of insinuates, there are some technologies out there that can only recognize license plates, and that's what they do. And it's, the technology that we've developed, it's so much beyond a license plate, right? And so that's where we come up with Beyond LPR. So it's about showing all the things and all the other things that you can start thinking about as you're out there deploying our services. It's not about compliance. That's like a small percentage. So in another 5 years, I'd say our company, I mean, yeah, we're always going to send out the letters, but that's going to be like, okay. Is that all you want?
No more. I'm not going to be getting harassed by your.
You'll still be getting harassed, but there's so much more stuff that we can add value to those cameras, not just sending out letters. You know what I mean? So we're always going to send out letters, but it's going to be a small percentage of everything that we do. So that's what it's about. Kind of opening the horizon.
Well, I'm excited.
Having people go, we want to wow people, Dani.
So I want to know, what is your most memorable worst parking experience?
I mean, it's not that fancy. It's not even a paid parking situation. It's I parked my car and came out and it was gone and stolen.
What? When? You got your car stolen?
I did.
Did you leave your keys in the car?
I did not. And it was an ugly car at the time. It was a Saturn.
Did you plan it yourself?
No. And they took the car seat out because I was a single dad at the time. And
they left your car seat.
They threw it on the ground.
Took your car
next to the car. Yeah. How shitty is that?
I was gonna say, it's kind of thoughtful.
So that was kind of the worst.
They left the car seat. At least, you know.
They did. They stole a Saturn station wagon. Literally a Saturn station wagon with a car seat in the back. They were pretty desperate.
They were like, we're really sorry. We understand you got a kid. Here's your car seat, but we need your car.
We need that Saturn station wagon.
Where was this at? Where did this happen?
Not far from here. Not down. I was living in an apartment down the road. Actually, you could probably throw a football from here. And the car wound up out on Airport Road in Aurora.
Oh,
that's where they found it.
Did they completely?
You know how that
did
works.
They strip it?
No, you know how that works, though, right? You have like 5 or 10 minutes. If it's a bad cop, back in the day, they'd call you. If you happen to answer, they'd give you 5 or 10 minutes to come get it, and if you didn't get it, they impounded it, and then you'd paid storage fees and everything else.
That's awful.
So I didn't get there in time. So
what happened? Like, they found your car on Airport Road. Like, did they run out of gas? What was the whole, like, why did they abandon it?
I have no idea. I think it's kids that go around and commit crimes and with stolen cars. And then when they're done doing the crimes, they dump the car.
Yeah, I've witnessed a few times. But like cars getting stolen and them just completely just taking off and then abandoning, like an hour later is when we would find the car. Like,
right.
Working in operations, you deal with that shit all the time.
What was your worst?
Oh,
you guys, you're from New Mexico.
Oh God.
Albuquerque's, you've got to have some stories.
I mean, I don't even think my worst parking experience was in Albuquerque. I was definitely afraid to park my car and leave it in any garage in Albuquerque. Like, I would have nightmares. And I think I actually talked about this on like season 1, but I would have nightmares of, like, we would go out downtown, in college, like on a Thursday, Friday, over the weekend. And I would literally have nightmares about, I would leave my car there, obviously, after, a night of fun. And I would have nightmares about my car, like me showing back up to the garage, my car just being on blocks and it being completely stripped, because this was a thing. This was a huge thing. I don't think it's just a thing in New Mexico or in Albuquerque, but I think, the rate that cars were, like the theft, like it was like not Grand Theft Auto, but they,
that was a cool game. Did you ever play that?
I did. I played it growing up. But the theft was so high that I would literally just have nightmares about this. And I was always terrified that I was going to show back up and my car be on blocks, or it just be stripped down to like bare bones. Luckily, never happened.
I've had 2 cars stolen in my lifetime, and one of them did wind up on blocks. And the only way they knew that it was my car was the Colorado plates were on the ground.
Gosh. Yeah.
The truck bed, it was a 4-wheel drive S10 Extend-A-Cab. Loved that truck. I was in the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
It's actually a classic story. So, famous last words. So, I was stationed at one of my duty stations.
So this wasn't here?
Was it? No, one of my duty stations. So, I went to college here and then went in the military after college. And so, one of my duty stations was Governor's Island, which is right in Manhattan there. It's that little island.
Yeah. I know where that's at. I've been.
Yeah, so you take a ferry out to the island. So, I was gone for 3 or 4 months. My brother lived in Brooklyn, didn't have a car. So I'm like, you can use my car, but the rule is you got to put it out on Governor's Island. You're not leaving the car in Brooklyn for any length of time.
Right.
An overnight, maybe. So that was the famous last word. So I got him a pass. He could go out on the island. He could take my car. So sure enough, I'm out. I'm gone for like 3 months. And I get back. They tell me my car was. It was so far gone. The cops were like, "We're not even gonna report this as being recovered."
You're gone for 3 months.
I know, but the car literally, they took the bed, they took the quarter panels, they took the doors, they took the engine. I mean, this thing had nothing. It was just sitting there on blocks, and it was. I think they left a quarter panel because it was.
It's like the one reason they're like, we're not going to get any money for this, so we're good. Leave that.
But my Colorado plates were there. I had some other shit that had my name on it. So
it's funny because I grew up in the towing business. My dad owned towing companies in New Mexico, and
that's cool.
Yeah,
I think you need some more wine.
Oh, yeah. But so my dad owned towing companies in New Mexico. And so one of the things it was fine getting towed by your own dad. You knew that growing up in Gallup.
You knew you were going to be taken care of.
Oh, well,
Did you ever tow did he ever tow Tony DePaulo's car?
I hope not.
We need to go and look at the logs.
I doubt it. And if it was at any point, if anyone's car in Gallup, if I knew them, they were getting towed, it was a favor, right? Anyways. So, and being in Denver, moving from New Mexico to Colorado and living in Denver, they don't fuck around here. They will tow you, they will ticket you, they will tow you.
Here in Denver?
Yeah, they have no they are not shy about this. And so funny enough, I just thought of this. I've been towed here in Denver. My car's gotten towed. One of my brother's car got towed once. And then my dad came to visit and was staying with my brothers. And his car got towed, or his truck got towed.
Wow.
When my car got towed, it was wrongfully towed. And my dad, the same, my dad as well. And then my brother, it was just a very unfortunate case because we were just helping them move out of one of their apartments. And it was literally the last day of their lease at this apartment complex. And we were loading up his car, and we were in the apartment for, I don't know, half an hour. And he comes in, he goes, "Oh my God, Dani, my car is gone. I think it was stolen. Someone stole my car." And we were like, "What? Did you leave your keys in it?" And he's like, "No, but he drove this, it probably wouldn't be hard to steal. Anyone could probably steal this car." I forgot what he drove. And so we go to the office. We're like, "Hey, we think his car, Cody's car got someone stole it." And the office was like, "Oh, was it this car? No, we actually towed it." And we were like, "What?
Why?" I mean, he lived there. He was
because moving. It was really dumb because it was the last days of the lease. So technically the permit expired at midnight, that,
the night before.
Going into the day of the last lease.
That's pretty hardcore.
It was
they
shitty.
Should give a grace
trust
period.
me. I have fought every time I've gotten a ticket or someone has been towed.
You know, I've been towed.
We fought for it. So
yeah, I mean, most times a couple times I've been towed, I've deserved it. So I just pay. I'm not happy about it. I think, and the reason I'm not, the last one, I wasn't happy about it because I felt like the landowner, their business closed at 7:00. There's bars and restaurants and everything. They're a restaurant, but they closed at 7 or 8 or 9. It's right near the DU campus. Like, why are you allowing a tow guy to sit in the bushes and tow? Why don't you put a machine there? There's like 40 spaces. Your restaurant's closed. Sell for $10 or $15.
That
mentality is.
I'll never understand, like, even coming, like, I grew up in the industry, like, and I'll never understand, like towing companies who just like
sit in the bushes.
Yeah, who pry on like.
There's a set of people. There's sets of people that's how they do business. It's not right. Literally, you walk away and the guy's there looking at you. It's wrong, especially when the business is closed. I get it if I'm.
Well, even if you're a business, and especially like you just said, like if you're in in an area where there's a lot of bars late night, especially in a university area, like, why wouldn't you want to put up a pay station, put up a sign,
exactly,
make some money off of it? Like, what?
I actually talked to that owner.
What's the purpose? Yeah, what's the purpose of them just
because they had a problem, they had an issue probably, and the tow guy was in their ear and said, "I'll solve your issue," and he's going to sit in the bushes all day. And honestly, he thrived for that moment when the restaurant closed because he knew DU campus is right there, and he knew all the bars that were around, so it was predatory. I had just played softball at a different field, over by DU, and everyone went to this bar. There was nowhere to park, of course, and I was like, wow, well, this place is closed, so they don't care.
So I'm curious. You might know.
Somebody cared.
Yeah, like, I'm curious. You might know. I don't, because this is not something that, like, we did, like, my family's company did growing up by any means. Do those, like, asset owners make a deal with a towing company, like, per car? Because it's expensive. I know how expensive towing is. I don't
think so.
Like, do the asset owners actually get a cut of what?
No.
Like,
I don't think so.
So they're just like, hey, come tow all the cars off of my asset.
Here's how it works. So basically, I'm running my restaurant business peaks. It's thriving. I'm really a breakfast, lunch, and an early dinner, and then I close down. I don't have a bar. I don't have any of that stuff, right? So you got a tow company that says, "Hey, we'll provide you a parking attendant to make sure that your problem is solved, and nobody's cheating you." So they're actually staying out there all day, and they're grabbing cars, right? Knowing the fact that whatever they're paying in labor to have that attendant, especially after the 8:00 hour on this, they're yanking cars every which way but loose because it just made no sense.
It makes no sense.
There were no businesses in this plaza open, so it's like, oh, who am I hurting? I'm going to go across the street to the bar. That's why I went and talked to the guy that owned it.
How'd that go?
And he was like, oh, that seems like a good idea, but never pulled the trigger. It's like, seems like a good idea. Like, you're an idiot. I could make you $100,000 out there.
Instead, he's just letting some tow
he's
company.
Got bad blood.
Yeah.
Right. I've never eaten there again, and I never will.
It's funny this was actually recently. This was, I would say, less than a year ago when my car got towed from a lot at a really, really, like, well-known restaurant, really great, that I used to frequent and I've never gone back. And even then, like, I went and I made the company reimburse me because I was like, this is bullshit. You don't have any sign. You don't have the appropriate signage. And I just had to pay X amount of dollars for, to get my car back. But not only that, like, you're essentially illegally towing cars off of your property at what expense? Like they don't get a cut of the revenue from what the tow companies are making. And at this point, like when I had showed up to the tow yard, which was relatively close, like it actually wasn't as far as I thought it was going to be, because there's one company in particular here in Denver who's really well known, really shitty, but they're way out in the middle of nowhere. Right. Like this company, they're relatively close to where I parked, which was in Lohi, and had to take an Uber to go get my car. And it was just such a weird experience. And essentially they were like, okay, we want you to pay all this money before you get your car. And I was like, that's actually not how it works. And like, you're going to let me see my car, or I'm going to call the police.
Right.
And then we can do a full walkthrough. And then, because I was thinking like, and luckily this company, which it's not the company that I know that you're thinking about. I will never I don't think anyone would ever say, oh my God, like my car was actually really well towed. Like they did a really good job of towing my car.
Or, wow, I did go overtime and this company gave me a parking notice for $80. I feel really good about that.
And I to me,
good
I was
for
like,
them. They were Johnny on the spot.
I would have rather paid like a parking notice versus I'm like, you are in an area where.
Are you sure you'd still complain, wouldn't you?
No, I don't think I would. I don't know if I would.
Just gonna pay that $87 notice?
I would probably pay like if I overstayed my time, but this wasn't a paid facility
break for you.
So this wasn't even a paid facility though. This wasn't a paid facility. It was for patrons who were visiting the restaurants in the area, which I did, and I spent a lot of money. And I was being a good citizen, and I didn't drive home. I Ubered home, and I was like, I'll come back the next morning and get my car. And even like when I went back to the restaurant, they were like, well, this is owned by this property management. You're gonna have to take it up with them.
What I'm hearing though is there's a point in which it becomes there's a price break for you where you feel like you don't deserve it. So you'll pay an $80 notice, know that you were at fault, but if it was a $275 tow, you feel like that's just outrageous.
It's a good point.
Right?
But well, I mean, this is the thing is that like if I had gotten notice, I would have been like, oh shit, like I didn't know that there were like rules and regulations around this parking. It was just for the tenants of the plaza, essentially. Right.
See, I was different. I knew what I was doing when I parked in that lot, and I got towed, and I was aggravated because of the stupidity of it.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You got a guy sitting there in the bushes towing people.
Well, same here, though. I was like, had I known that there were like, you couldn't park between these times and you had to be gone by this time, I never would have parked there because I knew that I probably was going to extend my stay or come back for my car the next morning, right? I didn't know that there was no signage. There was nothing about you can only park from this time to this time. No overnight parking, whatever that is.
How do you feel about people that get drunk and keep their car overnight and then they don't pay for the next day, but they say, "Hey, I did the right thing. Why are you ticketing me for doing the right thing?" How do you feel about that?
Why would they not pay for the next day, though?
Because they weren't planning. So they went to a bar.
Yeah, no, I get that. Are we talking about a gated or an ungated?
Ungated.
I'm going to say, in any case, I would rather anyone leave their car after going to the bars and any asset than get on the road. And,
So I call you, say, geez, I came to the bar. I got totally shit-faced. And I took an Uber home, and you're ticketing me for the next day. I didn't pay, but I did the right thing.
Well,
why should I pay $87? You're encouraging people. You're telling people they need to drive home.
No, but I think that this where it comes in, where it depends on where the parking asset is, and if you're in a highly bar populated area, I think that you should overnight. You're not making money overnight anyway. No one's just coming oh my God, I'm gonna.
You want to know what my response is?
What?
My response is thanks for not going and killing somebody on the road.
Yes, agreed.
Appreciate
That's what I'm saying. Is that
there's two things. You probably should have paid for a 24-hour option.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right?
If they didn't pay for, I thought you said overstay though. So I thought you were talking about an overstay.
I wasn't planning on getting drunk tonight, but I had such a good time with you that I got so shit-faced. I left my car there because I didn't want to drive home, and I took an Uber. But I didn't. Once I was in the bar, I didn't go back and pay.
But I bet you, in any case, if someone made that, someone made that case to an operator, and they were like, "Look, I paid for the overnight. I'm sorry I overstayed my 6 a.m. time through this. Like, can I pay this because I was at the bars?" Like I feel like almost any operator would be like, "Okay, we'll decrease."
Okay, but at whose expense?
Well, now you're talking about your
that's what I'm talking about. So here's the reality. The reality is, okay, I should have paid 24 hours. I knew I was getting drunk. I didn't realize I was going to stay. But what if operators don't
have a 24-hour rate? Oh. Not a lot of operators have a 24-hour rate.
Well,
they have an overnight
rate.
Then
I'm paying the ticket and I'm keeping my mouth shut. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather pay $87 than wind up in jail and $10,000.
No. I get what you're saying, but I'm saying, like, if I'm gonna come back and dispute, like, if I'm the parker and I paid the overnight rate, and I got a ticket because my car was like the overnight rate ended at 6 a.m. and I got a ticket at 6:30, 7 a.m. I'm going back and being like, "Hey, sorry, I left my car here because unfortunately I had one too many drinks. Can I get a discount? Like, can you void this ticket, or can you at least decrease the amount that I owe?" I feel like that is, if you are in a highly populated area where there are a lot of bars, Lodo, Highlands, Low High, things like that. Like, I think that's fair, because not a lot. And if you're an operator and you have assets around these types of locations, then you should absolutely offer a 24-hour rate, except for a lot of these areas are highly populated with business, people. Like with people who go into the office.
Most people offer a 24-hour rate. I know people that don't drink. My sister is one of them, and she would say, "Why should other people pay for your lifestyle? You drove home, or you chose not to drive home. That's not anybody else's problem. Pay for your ticket."
Yeah,
that's what she would say.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people who don't drink either. Both my brothers don't drink, so they're usually my DD. But
so you don't have this problem.
My car got towed. Yes, I do. My car got towed because I left it.
Oh my God, you're one of those people. You get drunk, your car gets towed. What else is going on?
Well, no, I didn't want to drive home after one too many drinks. So.
I know, you did the right thing.
Yeah, I know, and I paid for it.
Yeah,
and there was no 24-hour rate. It was not even paid parking. There was no signage stating that it was that you couldn't park there for more than a certain amount of hours.
Oh my God, Danny's complaining about the signage.
I
know, that's good.
If you're gonna do something, you got to let people know that you're gonna do it.
I think we're gonna hear the music come on. What do you think? What are we talking about here next show? Or what are we doing?
We got a lot coming up. We got a lot more interesting conversations coming up.
If you guys didn't realize today, we didn't have a topic. we're gonna call this the no show.
We're gonna call this
the no show.
Yeah,
the parking no show. Yep. But anyways, as always, we appreciate everybody. We appreciate your loyal listeners out there, and always got to give a shout out to our sponsors.
To our sponsors.
Couldn't do it without you. PRS, Azura Technologies, the Parking Whisperer.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those people. I think we're good, right, Danny?
Yep. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time on All Things Parking with Dani and John.
All Things Parking.